So, for my semester-long physics project, I chose the topic of mental health. Most of my research was about the factors that contribute to mental health, and then I focus on anxiety as a whole at the end. For my final project, I created a video talking about the stigma behind mental health and the ways that we can end that. I have anxiety and it has greatly impacted my life. I have general anxiety and social anxiety, and then my doctor even diagnosed me with OCD. I am different from my friends because they do not have anxiety, they don't have social anxiety, they don't have OCD, and sometimes I can often feel that stigma because I feel like I shouldn't talk about it and I should just keep things to myself. So that kind of gave me the inspiration for my final project. So my goal of the final project is to let people know that it's okay to not always be okay. So many Americans struggle with mental health but do not reach out because they're afraid of the stigma behind it. They don't want to be looked at differently. They are afraid they're just not gonna get help. I'm trying to get people to see through this video that I created for my final project that it's okay to not always be okay. No one is alone in the fight against mental illness, and I also included in my video many ways people without a mental illness can help end the stigma. Just kind of ways like including people with mental illness and making them feel like they're not discriminated against and making them feel like they're not alone, because they're not. People can help in ways such as showing respect and acceptance, advocating for mental health, and even learning more about mental health in order to understand exactly what some people go through on a day-to-day basis. So many people are afraid to get help because of the stigma, and I want to help in that by raising awareness and getting the word out to people that it's okay to not always be okay. This project has actually impacted my life in so many ways. At the beginning, I was like, I have no idea what I'm gonna do. I'm never gonna find something. There's no way it's gonna impact me. I was kind of skeptical about it, but I'm actually really glad that I went through with it and that I chose the topic I did. So the experiences that I have had academically this semester have been amazing, and that is something I'm going to carry throughout the rest of my life. I am going to Butler next year to major in health sciences with a minor in psychology, and I'll also be on the pre-physician's assistant track. And then I plan to attend PA school in hopes of becoming a pediatric physician's assistant. I then want to go back and get my doctorate of medical science in physician's assistant studies so that I can have just a better job and be able to treat patients and do exactly what I want to do. I would really like to work in the NICU at Riley. So this independent research has helped me immensely and will carry on to my education at Butler, but also to my career as a pediatric physician's assistant. I plan on doing some sort of research in college to gain knowledge and experience before PA school because I know that looks good on PA applications, and I have to do everything I can in order to get into PA school. Undergraduate research prepares you for postgraduate plans, and that's exactly what I need. I will need a pretty solid resume to get into my top choice PA school, which is Butler's PA school, and undergraduate research is one way to. This research project has prepared me for undergraduate research because I already have an idea of what things will be like. Without this project, I would be clueless going into my undergraduate research because I would have no idea how anybody does anything. Because of this, I have learned so many things that I can carry on. I know the do's and don'ts of starting the project, and that will get me ahead of my classmates because they will have no idea what they're doing. They will have no idea how to start it or even carry out the project. And when it comes down to like the nitty-gritty stuff, the stuff that we worked on this semester, I will also be ahead of my classmates because I know how to do that and they may necessarily not. Undergraduate research is also so important in order to prepare you for post-graduation plans, and since my plans are to go on and get my master's and then hopefully my doctorate, this project has given me a head start and will hopefully give me the strength and ability to make it into my top choice PA school. So now we're gonna talk about the journals. I wasn't always very good at keeping my journals, but I always went up and made them up. Although the first month we were out of school, I will admit I did not do them. It was a really hard time for me, and I was struggling with the whole senior year thing being kind of ripped away from me, but I did go back and I did write a paragraph and I explained everything. But it's something that I thought I would hate and never want to do, but in the end, it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. It kind of held me accountable in the end. I did miss a few here and there, like I said, and some were not as descriptive as others, but that's, going to be expected. I had many days where I wasn't at school because I didn't feel good, so I didn't do anything, so I said that. Keeping these journals helped to keep me accountable, and I knew that I had to be productive so that I was able to fill out a decent journal entry, and that's kind of what kept me going. I knew that my journals would be a big grade, so I knew that I had to be productive in order to get a journal entry out of it. I was held accountable because I could go back and look at the days I did not do anything and tell myself, since I didn't get to work that day, then I have to work today. And I even had to work extra hard to make up for the stuff that I did not do. I liked having a running record of things I've been working on. It was like my timeline. It kind of helped me keep everything together and keep me sane. It did help me keep me sane. Some days my project was all over the place and I had no idea what I was doing, and I literally looked up a million different things, but keeping this journal helped me kind of to narrow that down and kind of gather my thoughts and words and put them in a paragraph and kind of realize all of the things that I had done that day. So overall, my journals weren't awful. Some of them aren't as good as others, but in the end, they turned out pretty good. I mean, I have every single one of them, so. Okay, now for the midterm presentations. I really enjoyed this part. I was able to get a lot of really, really, really useful information that I would not have gotten if we would not have gone. I was very nervous about it at first because of my social anxiety. I don't like talking to people very much, and I'm always very nervous, and I feel like I'm gonna be criticized, but that was not the case with this. It was so neat to see how everyone reacted to the presentations. It was neat to see how my classmates reacted to everyone and the people around us, and it was just a really neat experience. The useful knowledge that I got was amazing. I really enjoyed all the different stories from the people who talked to me, and most of the stories were related to mental health, and I learned some really personal things about some people that I'm very glad that they shared with me. It gave me a different kind of perspective on things. I liked that they felt that they could share those stories with me, and I also liked the helpful advice that came with it. They gave me ideas and introduced perspectives to me that I hadn't even thought of. Some of those are kind of embedded in my project. One of the ladies, she was talking to me about anxiety medications, and I was like, yeah, like that makes sense and everything. So that's why I included that into my project, because one of the ladies at the midterm presentation was asking me about the medications, and I was like, I haven't really gotten that far. So I told her I would embed it, and I did a whole lot of research on it, and it was actually something that was really, really interesting to me. One teacher told me that one of her friends had really bad mental illness problems, and it's like she didn't have a filter, and just she was all over the place, and it kind of gave me a perspective that like there's other people out here dealing with this. I'm like, I know that there's people out there, but it's just like these teachers that you think like, oh, like they're just normal people, like they don't know, whatever, like, but she was talking to me about her friend, and it was awesome that she felt that she could share that with me. And if we wouldn't have gone to the midterm presentations, then I definitely would not have gotten that experience and made those connections with those teachers. So I definitely recommend that you take next year's class, because I personally felt that I really benefited from it, and I know my classmates did too, because on the way home we talked about all of the different experiences we had, and even when we went to lunch, we kind of talked about all the different people that we had met and how they reacted to our projects, and I thought it was really neat. I'm glad that we went and did that, because I gained so much and so many new perspectives were introduced to me, and I just wouldn't have gotten that if we wouldn't have gone, and I really liked it. So my mentor was Diane Burks, and Mr. Lineweber actually introduced me to her, and she was really helpful. She was some sort of therapist for children. I don't think I ever got her exact title, but she was very, very helpful. She also asked me questions that kind of guided me through my project, which was really neat too. For my field work, I was going to go and meet with some of her former clients and talk with them, but because of the whole COVID thing, I was kind of unable to do that, which really stinks, but it's okay. I'll have so much more opportunities in my future to go and do stuff like this. So I'm not too upset knowing that I do have stuff in my future, but I am upset because I don't get this specific opportunity. I still feel like I learned a lot through her and this project, and I'll definitely be able to carry that on throughout my college career, but it would have been nice to have that fieldwork experience. I was also going to take a field trip to the Medical History Museum, but that was also unable to happen since I'm obviously very interested in medicine. I plan on going to the museum soon whenever it opens up again, but it'll just have to be on my own and maybe with my family. Overall, it helped to have a mentor because I enjoyed having someone experienced in the field that I was kind of going over and kind of scratching the surface, and she was right there when I needed her most of the time, and she always replied really quickly, and she kind of challenged me sometimes and asked me questions that made me think in ways that I had never thought of before, and she gave me different perspectives, and a lot of her ideas are embedded in my project. The systems theory was the way that we were going to incorporate the physics aspect into my project, but we never really got that far, obviously, so I don't really have that part, but I do still think I learned a lot. This project was a whole different experience to me. I had never done anything like this before. I've done projects, last a week or two, but nothing that has been for a whole semester. And I was scared at first. And I was like, what am I gonna do? How am I gonna fill all of this time? I'm never gonna, my project is gonna be awful. But then in the end, I feel like I really benefited from not having a teacher hold my hand the entire time. I learned responsibility more than I thought I could have. I know I'm already responsible, and I know that I've always gotten good grades, and I know that I could do it, and I did. I pulled it off, but I wasn't sure how I was going to in the beginning because in our school systems, we're so used to having people hold our hands, and this project was not what our class is used to. No one in our class was used to that. So I was responsible for my own project, and I got to plan everything out that I was doing. My grade and the timeline of my project was solely in my hands, and that was really neat because I knew that the grade I got was going to be the grade I earned, and it came from how much work I put in and how my responsibility was. I was fully accountable for my actions, and I was able to become more independent because I didn't have a teacher holding my hand the whole entire time. I can use these skills when I go off to college because every single college student has told me that you're very much on your own and you have to be independent and you have to be accountable for yourself. And I learned how to do some of that during this semester, and I know that college is going to be a whole different world, but this gave me a little kind of insight of what it's going to be like next year. And I think that I benefited from that because I kind of know a little bit of what I'm getting myself into, because I have been told by many people that college is just a totally different world, and I feel like this project gave me a little bit of comfort knowing that I already have kind of an idea of what I'm doing, but I know that it's still going to be a huge culture shock. But not having a teacher holding my hand the entire time was definitely beneficial because I was able to be fully responsible for myself, my project, and my grade. In college, I will not have a teacher holding my hand every step of the way. I am responsible for showing up to class on my own, getting my work turned in on time, and asking questions when needed. I learned useful skills this semester that showed me that it is possible to be without a teacher and that I can, in fact, be on my own and learn some things. I learned how to be independent and accountable for my grades and my actions, and I think that this project was a real eye-opener to what college will be like next year, and I'm ready to face it head on.